Hi everybody, it's Patty, Rockstar Mom, and I know some of you are really starting to become concerned about me. So I want to sort of explain the COVID thing and what's going on with that. And then also something else has happened that, well, it's sort of a family emergency, and I've had to get out of town or go out of town, let me put it that way. I'm filming on my iPhone. I don't think I've ever filmed, well, maybe I have once when I had to, any kind of a video on my iPhone. But, well, I have notes. Hold on. I am at my daughter's house, and let me just go back and start, because I know you're getting bits and pieces from those of you who subscribe to my channel, bits and pieces about the COVID and where I've been. But just to go back and recap, Jim and I went on a cruise about 3 weeks ago. It was just a little 7-day Caribbean cruise, or 7 nights, and everything was fine. But we both came home, me first, with COVID. I tested positive. I really had no real symptoms at first. I was sneezing, maybe starting on Thursday, and sneezed a little Friday, coughed a little bit, nothing. That was it. Never, nothing. I have some allergies from time to time where I'll sneeze and cough, and I just sort of thought that was it. But we drove home from Fort Lauderdale to Pensacola on Sunday and drove straight through, and I want to say that's maybe a 7-8 hour drive. Easy drive, interstate and turnpike the whole way. And about halfway, I started getting tired, and I was real fatigued, and it was like I just couldn't get comfortable. And we had stopped to have a proper lunch, which we rarely do on that drive home, but we did, and it was just the whole rest of the way I was miserable in the car, absolutely miserable. And I don't even know where to look, by the way, on my phone. Maybe that's the camera right there. But by the time we got home, I was miserable. It was probably 5:30 or 6 o'clock in the afternoon. Jim unloaded the car. I laid down on the sofa. And after a while, I told him, I said, I don't know why I'm so tired, but I'm just gonna, I think I'm gonna go take a hot bath and then go to bed and deal with all the unpacking and everything tomorrow. And he said, fine, do it. And that's what I did. I woke up the next morning, and the coughing and the sneezing was worse, and the fatigue was worse. And we had plans, he was gonna play golf, actually. I was gonna go pick up Biscuit at the border. And we were standing at the bar in our kitchen, and I said, do you think there's any possibility that what's wrong with me is COVID? And that was the first time it had even occurred to me. And he sort of went, we had better test. We both tested. I was positive. And I was shocked because it was just mainly the fatigue. But we had to redo our plans immediately. Anytime we travel like that, we get rid of clean out the refrigerator, get rid of stuff that could go bad. And so our plan was, since he had tested negative, he would get Biscuit and then bring Biscuit home, go back to the grocery store, get everything we could possibly need, because we figured if I had tested positive, he was right behind me. And so he did that. And I started feeling progressively worse, and more coughing, more sneezing, never had a sore throat, but finally talked to the doctor. The doctor called me in the Paxlovid, which I started taking immediately. And you take that, I think it was for 5 days. And I was in bed literally for about 3 of those days, and I had no energy, just total fatigue, slept most of the time, could barely get up. when I did get up, I sort of unpacked my bag, my clothes part of it, and would put things away here and there. So by then, we're at probably, I tested positive on Monday, and Saturday morning, I got up and I felt great. I felt great. I thought, well, I'm over this. And I got up and I got busy and I stripped the bed, our bed completely. I'd been sleeping in it, you know, with COVID. And by then, of course, Jim had tested positive, but because we do not have a TV in our guest bedrooms, he decided he was going to sleep on the sofa in the living room area so that he could watch golf and soccer. And so he had made him a bed on the couch. And so he was there, and I cleaned up all that, and I washed clothes, or bedding mainly. I washed bedding. I mean, everything, quilts, comforters, you name it, I washed it. I got it done. But by Saturday night, I was feeling pretty rough again. And by then, my throat not hurting, but the drainage from all of that and the coughing. And I talked to my daughter-in-law. She thought I needed to probably be seen. So we got up Sunday morning and went to the urgent care, and I was there when they opened at 7. They did a chest x-ray and, of course, examined me, and the doctor said that the x-ray looked fine from everything they could see. I'd had just a tiny little bit of shortness of breath walking from the car to up to the urgent care from the parking lot. And because of that, she prescribed an inhaler, which I've never used an inhaler at all, never had any reason to. But she also prescribed a steroid. She prescribed prednisone, and asked me if I had ever taken one before, and I hadn't. I'd heard about them, and she told me what to expect and what to do. She also prescribed a Z-Pack in case I needed it, in case I was not better. She said, 3 to 5 days. If you're not a whole lot better with symptom-wise, then start on the Z-Pack. So that was Saturday, and got the prescriptions filled. And Jim felt bad, but his case was very, very mild. And he laid around a little bit and sniffled, but I think that was pretty much the extent of his. And we've both, some of you have asked, were we vaccinated? We're totally vaccinated and totally boosted. We've done absolutely everything, that we were advised to do. Now, a little backstory as to where I am and why. We've had a situation going on for a pretty good while that we knew at some point in time Jennifer and my daughter-in-law were probably going to need my help with. And I don't want to go into all the details of it right now because it's still in process. But I knew that there would be a time when I might need to come and help them out, just mainly with the babies. And it was sort of coming to a head that week that I was so sick. But we knew, and even as late as Saturday morning, we really thought we had maybe 10 days, maybe 2 weeks before I needed to come, but it was getting that close. And our plan was to get me well, and that I would have my bags packed. Couldn't make a flight reservation because of not knowing. Because I had about 10 days, I thought, or 2 weeks, I didn't repack my bag. But what I did do is I did not put away my makeup and my skincare. And I will tell you, and if I ever do a video on this cruise, and I know some of you have asked me to do that, if I ever do a video, I'll show you actually what I carried as far as makeup and skincare. It was minimal. It was really minimal. But I hadn't unpacked it because I was not wearing makeup while I was so sick with COVID. And I would go in and when I could and, you know, wash my face and maybe put some moisturizer on. That was basically all I was doing. And I was, you know, using what I hadn't packed. So my makeup, which was minimal, and my skincare, which I took, which was minimal, were still in the bags in my suitcase. So that's where we were, thinking I had maybe up to, you know, 10 days to 2 weeks. Got the prescriptions filled on Saturday, and thinking everything was good, I thought, okay, I'm supposed to take this prednisone with food in the morning, and I would start it Sunday morning. I got up Sunday morning, and I looked at that prescription, and she had prescribed me 20 milligrams. It was I was supposed to take 2 10-milligram pills at a time in the morning with food for 5 days. And I'm not a medicine taker, guys. Y'all, I've told you that. I take nothing other than a few supplements. So I thought about it, and I told Jim, I said, you know, listen, I don't want those kind of side effects where I am climbing the walls and not sleeping. I think I'm just gonna take one and see how I do on one today and then go from there. So I took the one with food. And probably 20 or 30 minutes later, I got a little bit jittery, but then I had energy. I mean, I had energy. And I got up and I was piddling around and doing my thing, and I got a text from Jennifer, and she said, Mom, I don't know how you're feeling, but we need you. We need you. Whenever you think you can get here. And I went in and got on my computer to check flights. And there was a flight that left at 4 o'clock that afternoon. There was one flight that could get me here Sunday. And there was one seat left on it. One seat. And it left at 4. By then, when I was doing that, that gave me 4 hours before the flight left. I started throwing things in my suitcase. And Jim got me to the airport. I got the ticket. I did buy the protection in case I did have to cancel it, because I needed to see how I was going to feel before I got on that flight. And I knew I could cancel it at the last minute if I needed to, if I didn't feel like I could do it. I was getting a little bit tired by the time I got to the airport, but I was okay. Checked my bag, had just a little satchel, lightweight bag, plus I think I had my purse down in that bag, not heavy at all. And I got to the airport, got my bag checked, got to the gate, and I was getting a little bit tired, I have to tell you, a little bit tired. And I sat down because I knew I had to do nothing. There was a snack bar across the concourse where I could go get, I went and got a Diet Coke and came back and sat down, and I had probably an hour wait, so I just sat there. I closed my eyes. I didn't go to sleep, but I was just quiet, and I was fine. By the time they boarded the flight, I was fine. I had to change planes in Atlanta, had an hour to do that. I had to get on one of the trams to get to my new gate. Got to my gate. They had started to board the flight, boarded the flight. It was just fine. I was fine. I was starting to get energy again. it's a little over an hour from Atlanta to Little Rock. We had a tailwind, so we got here about 15 minutes early. Jennifer had told me, she said, now, Mom, you do not try to get your bag. She said, I'm going to park real quick, run in, and get your bag. Well, because we got there early, I got off the plane and walked to the escalator, got down. As I was getting to the bottom of the escalator, I noticed that the conveyor belt had started there in where my bags would be coming off. And I walked over, and as I really just got right to it, a bag popped out, the second bag popped out, and would you believe, the third bag that popped off of that thing was my bag. And I was talking to myself at that point, and I went, oh my gosh, I cannot believe my bag's here. And all of a sudden, there was this nice young man standing right here, and he said, well, aren't you the lucky one? And he reached over and he got it, and he said, well, I'm just going to get it for you. And he put it down, he pulled my handle up, and he said, there you go, have a good night. And I rolled out to the, where you pull up to pick people up, and there she had just pulled up. And she got out, put my bag in her car, and we headed out. I told her, and I've been flying for over 60 years. And in that 60 years, that is the first time ever that I haven't had to wait and wait and wait for a checked bag. I mean, it was the third bag off. Everything was supposed to happen just the way it happened. We came home. Of course, the babies were already in bed, and I went to bed. And then we woke up Monday morning with a sick child. Our little girl had a very high fever, and she's fine now, but it was just what they call they think a fever virus, which I had never heard of. We'll talk about that later. So that's where I am. I am doing great. I took my last dose of the 10 milligrams of the prednisone yesterday morning, and I've been fine. The fatigue went away actually probably Saturday afternoon after I'd gone to the urgent care. I have not had to take the Z-Pack. I have not had to open the inhaler, haven't needed them. I feel I'm getting all of my energy back. Today I have not had the prednisone, and I'm feeling fine. So I'm not overdoing it. The good news with helping with the babies is that they're going to be 2 this month. I can't believe that they're going to be 2, but yet they have schedules. And my daughter and her wife have been very good with these babies as far as setting schedules for them and following them as best you can. And so that's made it a lot easier. Nap time and bedtimes are easy. Bath times are pretty easy. They go to school in the morning. Or nursery school until noon. They have lunch there. They come home. We have a snack. They play for a few minutes, and then they go down for their nap. And they're napping for about 3 hours. And when they get up, we go to the park, we play, we might go to the museum. It all depends on the weather and what's going on. But we play, and about 5 o'clock, 5:30, they have dinner. And then they immediately take their baths, and they get to play a little, and then they start their little ritual to go to bed at night. And I'm telling you, for those of you who have grandchildren, or maybe if you're younger and you have children, what they do is, I've never seen anything like it. But so far it's working. They've had to tune it and tweak it a little bit. But so far so good. I'm still not sure how long I'm going to be here. When I packed, I did not pack my camera. Everything was happening so fast. I I brought my laptop and my phone and my chargers, and you wouldn't believe what I've had to do to even find a place that I could film and have a little bit of light. And it is so rainy and stormy here today. It has finally stopped raining, but tornadoes, and most of you know what's been going through this part of the country in the last day or so. But I'm filming here, and the next time you see me, it may be someplace else. It will not be any makeup or clothing. Listen, I'm going to have to buy clothes. I'm going to have to get out and maybe buy. I thought I had put some things in my bag to wear that I hadn't, and but it's all okay. It is all okay. I am having an absolute ball with these children. I made some notes last night. I think I've covered everything with you that I wanted to cover, mainly about what's going on with me. And when the time is right, I'll share with you what's going on and why why I was needed to make this trip as fast as I made it. I just don't want to do it right now. I know you'll respect that and respect my privacy and my family's and their privacy, And with everything else that's going on, this is their first, I guess, they started in September, the twins, with this little nursery school going half a day. And my daughter got roped into sort of doing a lot for their annual big fundraiser that happens tonight. It's a chili cook-off with a circus theme. And obviously, all this is coming to a head right here. And so she's been tasked with and trying to follow through with that too on her end. And my daughter-in-law is doing everything she can to deal with what's going on her end. And we're just meeting in the middle at different places, but it's all good. It's all working out. It was not like we didn't know it was coming. But so these next, I don't know. I may be here another week. I may be here 2 weeks. I may be here 3 weeks. I can't imagine that it's going to be any longer than that. But I do know that I have no filming equipment. I have no lights, no camera. I know other people do their whole channels with their phones. Again, I'm gonna have to, I think that's the camera right there. I need to learn to look at, I guess, at that little green light and maybe find some better light. Obviously, I have to film when no one's here because it's pretty noisy. So I'll probably be doing some vlogging type things. I'm very limited because of all the YouTube children rules as to what I can show you when it comes to them. I wish I could just tag along with them every day and show you them because they're so cute. They are talking. They'll be 2 in about 2 weeks. And let me tell you something. The little boy especially, he talks in sentences and they make sense. And they just make sense. I mean, where he's getting this, I don't know. But I saw this. I've been on social media very little. So there's that. But I saw this last night on Instagram and I wrote it down because I thought, oh my gosh, this is important. This touched me in a way. You know, some of us older, we are wise. We're very wise, and or we think we are. And we've had experiences, and we've had loves, and we've had loss, and we've been through a lot, and we go through these drawn out stories, I think, sometime of what happened to us with a man and what happened to us with a job and what we learned from it. And those stories just sort of never go away. But And I've thought about this a lot, and my channel, when I started it, was certainly about aging. And I started it, many of you know, because I was looking, once I found YouTube and I found makeup, as I call some of my beauty girls, and that's what I called you guys in the beginning, in the early days, my beauty girls. But I was looking for someone my age who maybe I could learn something from about how to put on eyeshadow. It was all about that. And my daughter encouraged me to do it. So it was about eyeshadow. And then when I realized that I was the oldest person doing videos in this community, in the beauty community, lifestyle, there was, I think, one woman who was a vegan and raw food vegan or something like that. And she only, that's all she did. That was all she did. So I was literally, for many years, the only one. And so I talked about a lot of things. I talked about taking care of my health. I talked about taking care of my soul. And I talked about these things. So, and I still want to do the makeup and the skincare, but I want to talk about this day-to-day process of really getting older. I'm going to be 80 in July. Gosh. So let me read you what I read. She said, and if you're on Instagram, maybe you saw it too. I don't remember who it was. She said, I recently heard something I wanted to share with you about aging. Let me turn this way. She said, you do not become old because of your years. You become old if you live in the past and in your memories. You don't become old and you age well if you live in the present and today. Now, I truly believe that our memories are important. And I believe that there are times when our memories of people, especially, help us through hard times. But I don't want to live wishing that I had done things differently, that I could go back and just be there. That was yesterday. It happened, for me, I believe, that it happened for a reason. It definitely happened for a reason. I believe that every single person who comes into our life, we're either the teacher or we're the student. And I don't believe that every person who comes into our lives is there forever, that they're supposed to be permanent. I believe that if someone has come into my life where I'm the student, when I learned that lesson, it's okay for the teacher to move on, or it's okay for me to move on. I believe when someone comes into my life as the student and they've learned their lesson, it's okay for us to move on. And it's not always pretty. Sometimes it's sad. But I just think that we have to remember that they were there. We were there at that moment in time. At that moment in time, to be either the student or the teacher. And then we can move on. And I think that's important for us to remember when we're reliving all of those memories. If I didn't believe that with everything that's in me, I wouldn't be here today. And making this trip on the spur of the moment, those babies, let me tell you something. We FaceTime. See that TV back there? Let me show you. Right there. Those babies, every morning when they're getting dressed for their little nursery school, they're watching me, and we're talking and we're laughing and we're playing, and almost every single morning, they know who Gaga is and Granddaddy. They know. They don't know me being in the same room with them. They've had a few of those experiences. It's wonderful. I feel so young. Every day I've been here, I play with them. I get down on the floor. Whatever they want to do, we play. And we learn and we read and we go to the park. So what I've just sort of talked to you about, if it's okay with you, I'm going to remind you of that from time to time, if that's okay. Because I think as we are going through this process that so many of us are right now, we're getting older, we're aging. We need to keep our minds as young just as young as we can. However that looks to us. Let me show you something. One thing I did bring, a sweatshirt. Be kind. Be kind. Don't forget to be kind. Know that I love you, and I'll see you real soon. Bye-bye.